You are in for a treat tuning into today's episode. We only do this episode once a year. I have a special guest who's a top producer in the mortgage industry, one of the best mortgage leaders I have ever met, and we are recording in front of a live audience. And it is that live audience that is going to make or break this episode. And let me just tell you a secret, they don't break it. We are with the Central Florida Mortgage Bankers Association. It's their last big event of the year. We are recording in front of them, but they are going to dictate the direction of this episode. This is a mastermind session. This is a talking shop session. Mortgage professionals, real estate agents, home buyers. This is an episode you can't afford to miss. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus. You are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest. This dude is one of the rare Central Florida natives. He's a 20-plus year veteran of the mortgage industry. He is one of the best top-producing managers in the industry. When he is not slinging loans, you can find him at the beach with his surfboard or with his wife, with a glass of wine at some fancy restaurant. He is my good friend, Jason Purcell. Jason, welcome to Loan Officer Podcast.
Thanks for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, I'm stoked. So it's funny, most people don't know this, so I'm going to let you know. Jason and I met back in 2008. In 2008, the world was collapsing. And if you are still in the mortgage industry, you grabbed on to anything that resembled a friend. And look, we were competitors. But at that time, if you were still alive and breathing in 2008 and you spoke mortgage, we didn't have competition. What we had was colleagues who happened to work across the street and represented a different brand. And I'm so grateful for those times, but I'm grateful for this relationship. And although Jason runs a very successful mortgage brokerage, I've never deemed you all as competition, because if I lost a loan to you, it was like the best place to lose to, because I knew the client was still going to get taken care of. But walk us through, because I want the audience to get to know you before we open it up to the Q&A. Walk me through, Jason. How long have you been in the mortgage industry?
Just under 25 years, so April will be 25 years.
Now, is this all you've known, or did you do something prior to mortgage?
I sold commercial insurance. I insured fleets of semis, and had about 3 appointments out of the month, and that just wasn't enough, client interaction for me.
So, what brought you into the mortgage industry originally?
My father was an executive on the wholesale banking side, went into retirement for a little while, got bored of that, and then we literally started training on the back porch for 60 days straight before we bought into a small local lender that was losing money at the time. And then my business partner, who's my cousin, was in Lakeland out of SunTrust Banking Division and joined us about 2 months later.
So that was what, 1999, 2000?
2001.
2001, okay. And you still produce, right?
I do.
So what was your record year?
Just at 80 million.
80 million. Was that 200 units, 150 units? Do you remember?
I think it was 187.
187 units, $80 million in volume. This year, you'll do approximately how much?
A little over 40.
Which is incredible, right? Like, I know you and I were talking back in the green room, and you're like, oh, I'm only going to do like 41 million this year. I was like, dude, 41 million in a year is a good year. In a year like 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, I can't believe I had to say all 4 of those years.
Yep.
Like, that's a really good year, because that's not just all you do, right? Like, how many employees does certified mortgage professional? You are certified.
61.
Wait, certified
mortgage planners.
Mortgage planners.
Yep.
You have 65 employees,
yep,
of which 20 are originators.
Correct.
And you all would do roughly what, 300 million this
300.
year? Yeah, like that's a lot. Like, you work 2 full-time jobs.
Yes.
Yes. Does your wife remind you of that?
She's in the business with me, ironically. We were talking about that earlier, and I'm just blessed. There's nobody I'd rather spend my time with. And initially, she started out as my processor, then moved in my assistant. It was supposed to be a 3-week temporary assignment, and now here we are, and it's the greatest gift that the mortgage industry has given me.
Which came first, you all meeting and dating, or her working at the firm and then you all getting married?
Working, and then Dawn and I were talking earlier. She was one of Dawn's underwriter. And I remember taking paper files to Maitland, to the Chase office, and trying to get her to underwrite my files and put them on the top of the stack.
Man, you are not the only mortgage professional that I respect who has also fallen in love at the workplace and is still happily married. Right, Grant Simon? He's not the only one. Yeah. So let's do this. We are getting ready to open up to the audience, right? And that's what makes this particular episode so special and so unique, because we are recording it in front of roughly 50 mortgage professionals. It's the Central Florida Mortgage Bankers Association. It's their monthly luncheon, the last one of the year. And they are going to ask us questions. And I told them, hey guys, it's anything goes. This is no holds bar. If you are brave enough to ask the question, Jason and I will be brave enough to answer the question. Our one caveat is this: it's the world according to us. Okay? Disagree all you want. We actually like that. That's called diversity of thought. We need more of that in our world. And fact check us all you need, because from time to time, I have been known to say things with conviction and determination. However, after being fact checked, I'd have to apologize because maybe I got my details mixed up. So all of that is welcome, but we do ask for you to bring it, right? Bring it. You're not doing it for you, you're doing it for the audience. But before we get into it, let's first go ahead and take a break for a second so we can hear some words from today's show sponsor. Loan officers and branch managers, listen up. Lower Mortgage gives loan officers an edge. They're simplifying mortgages with tech that speeds up every step, from lead to close, so you can spend more time building relationships, not chasing paperwork. The result? More happy homeowners and more wins for you. Mortgage doesn't have to feel old school. Join Lower Mortgage, where top producers thrive. Visit company.lower.com or email my guy Craig Montgomery. It's cmontgomery@lower.com. That's CMONTGOMERY @lower.com. All right, and we are back. So who has the first question? Raise your hand, and Karina from our team will bring you a microphone while you're getting up the courage to ask us your first question. I had one question for Jason that I didn't get a chance to ask you. What do you love most about the mortgage industry?
I love serving people. I love making the impact. I even shared this. I had one of the most exciting clients close last week, and that was a day that I opened up a little blah. And then I read this amazing text from this particular client, and I shared it with my team first. I shared it with the rest of the company, and that's really what changed my day. And that's the impact and the fulfillment that we get from being able to help people, achieve the dream of home ownership and one of their largest assets.
So you're a quarter century into your career, and that's still what motivates you.
Yes.
Good for you. I mean, that's probably why you're still in production.
Yeah.
Right? In one word, what has the mortgage industry meant to you?
Promise. Opportunity.
Promise, opportunity. Those are two words, but you can choose which one you want to use, right?
I'll say opportunity.
Opportunity. Yeah. No, it has been, right? Like I tell people, that's part of my signature story. My mom drove a school bus. My dad's an electrician. I grew up in an 1,100 square foot house, right? But this career, yeah, opportunity, right? Opportunity to change my life, to change the trajectory of future generations, but an opportunity to teach so many people, to impact their lives,
yes.
Right? All the stuff that wasn't being taught in my high school, at my college, it wasn't talked about at the dinner table. This industry allowed me that opportunity to teach it. So I love that answer. I love that word. I think I may take it and swipe it and use it as my own. Cool. I'll give you credit where credit's due. All right, do we have our first question? Yes, sir.
Jason, as a leader of 61 people, I'm sure there's at least a couple of them that don't quite see the business the same exact way as you. How do you find ways to show up for them, even though you don't see it the same way, so that they can be their best selves and you can help them achieve the goals that they want to achieve?
That's a great question. I think as a leader, we have to be growing ourselves at a faster pace than we can grow others, for example. And so that's also why I'm still in production. I think that one of the leaders needs to be leading by example, to be in the trenches, so I know exactly what my loan officers are going through, I should say. But different loan officers all have different goals, for example. So I think it comes down to knowing truly what their goals are, knowing what their why is, what truly motivates them, and then catering that to each individual loan officer. That is something that's really tough, I think, as a leader too, because sometimes you want it more for your people than maybe you feel like they want it for themselves. And so sometimes it's really trying to encourage and care so much that you have to hold them accountable to making sure that they're taking the action so that they get the results.
Great question. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have Suha, then we have Robert. This is pretty cool. We have the president of the Mortgage Bankers Association of Florida in the room. So shout out to fellow CMB, Robert Villalon. What's up, Suha?
Hey, how are you, Dio? Hi, Jason. So I'm not a loan officer, and I've never been an originator. But I'm on the technology side, and I help loan officers be better, especially in the age of AI. And we know there's a lot of fear around AI. How do you approach that topic with your team, with other teams, to make sure that they realize this is the direction they need to progress in?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of opportunity with AI, and I leverage it multiple times a day. I think that there's technology that's coming into play with AI, for example, that's going to help us simplify the process, both on the operation side and also the sales side. But I think that if you're not going to embrace it right now, you are going to get left behind. If you think that you can start embracing it 2 years from now, you are so far behind the curve. So yes, AI is a big portion of the business, and I think that it takes on an even bigger portion. I think the one thing with that is trying to maintain your identity and some of your communication, because I think that sometimes, and you see it all over the place right now, especially in social, where you just know that that is AI. And so I never want to lose my voice with AI. And you can program it to where it starts becoming you. But that, I think, is some of the frustration for me when I'm trying to create content and it is my voice. I don't want to lose that voice.
Yeah, simply put, I mean, the fax machine never stopped the internet, right? It didn't. And we're not going to stop this. I mean, Pandora's box is wide open. There's no putting this cat back in the bag. I travel the country, and I have the opportunity to speak in front of large and small organizations alike, and this topic comes up. And when it comes to technology, I'm a big fan of telling all parties to be a fast follower and an early adopter. Right? I'm actually not a big fan of being the innovator. Innovators, and Suha, you probably know this better than most innovators end up dead broke, right? In debt, bankrupt. I would rather let someone else innovate. However, it doesn't mean that my head's in the sand, right? Fast follower, early adopter. And when you see where things are going, what is the Wayne Gretzky saying? We skate where the puck is going. Yeah, I think we all need to do that. And if we don't, we will be left behind. And for some of us, look, we are old AF, right? Always and forever, by the way, AF. We are old. And if you're looking to retire in the next 3, 5, or 7 years, 3 to 5, you probably don't need to adapt too much. But if you want to have a long-standing career and be relevant, yeah, that's been my message to my teams and the people that I coach. It's like, look, like, I don't care if you like it. This is the way the world is going. You have two choices. You're either all in or you're all out. Which one is it going to be?
I think this is also a contact sport, though. I think that so many loan officers and sales professionals in general are relying on AI to do the work, and AI is not going to replace doing the work. And so, again, this is a contact sport. So he or she who has the most friends, the most contacts, the most relationships is the one that's going to win, but then they can be complemented by AI.
Yeah, I like that point. I was on a call. If y'all don't know the company Pylon, look them up, Pylon. Okay, so I was on a call. It was supposed to be a 30-minute call. It ended up being a 90-minute call, and I was with the founder and the CEO, right? Awesome. Ended up with an invite for me to head out to Silicon Valley early next year, and I can't wait to get out there. I heard like half the cars out there are self-driving, so that's like, cool and creepy at the same time. But even on a call with them, right? And these are people who are truly trying to disrupt all parts of our industry. They said, their words, not mine, the originator will be the last to be impacted, right? So last man, last woman standing, still, some could argue the most important piece of the puzzle because, as Jason said, it's a contact sport. So if the technologists are saying that, those are the people that I tend to want to listen to. I also want to be around them more often so I can learn, so that I am myself not left behind. Robert, you had a question.
In this industry, we all know there's years where loans are falling from the sky and there's years where you're scraping to get any deal you can. What's your secret sauce?
I mean, I think it all comes down to relationships and having good relationships. And I talk about qualifying your relationships as well. And so, I mean, there's quantity and there's quality. And that would even be the advice that I would give a newbie loan officer, for example, because you can spin your wheels on somebody that's not producing and you're in the friend zone, for example. Now I'm in the friend zone with all of my partners at this point, and some of them have been decade plus long relationships. I got rid of all the pay to play. I got rid of all the pay to play, for example. It's low conversion. It doesn't speak to, hey, he's so good or his team's so good, he's worth waiting for example. And I didn't really see the results coming from that pay to play. And so conversion is super high. My lead to close is just under 40%, for example. But again, it comes back to having great partners, great process, and I got to attribute it to my team.
To put that in context, by the way, y'all, lead to close at 40% is ridiculous. I mean, for many people, credit pool to close at 40% is where you want to be, right? Lead to close has always been 20%. In the past 5 years, it's been closer to 15 to 18%. So if this dude's throwing out 40% lead to close, he's doing something right. Like, he is someone we want to follow on social. I have a different take on your question, Robert, but I love it too much not to answer it. Or some could say I love talking so much I couldn't pass up on an opportunity to continue talking. But this comes up so many times in the groups that I'm coaching right now. So I got into the industry in 2004, right? I hit my stride in 2006, and in 2007, the world started crumbling. So I got to see my boss's boss's boss lose their shit. Like, literally, they lost their mind, they lost their money, they lost their house, they lost their boat. So when the rest of us who were still around in 2009 started rebuilding, it benefited me like crazy that I started making good money again by 2011. And I remember ending 2011 and saying, oh God, just give me one more year like this. And then he gave me 2012. I'm like, oh God, just give me one more year like this. And he gave me 2013. I'm like, oh my God, give me 2 more years like those and I'll be set. But it was that mindset that people need to understand. If you're going to operate in this industry, we are feast or famine. It's not new. This isn't that only happened in the 2020s. No, it happened in 2020s freaking extremely, right? Extremely one way for 2 years, extremely the other way for 4 years. But if you study the past 30 years, that's the mortgage industry. So my marching orders is, because it worked so well for me from 11 through, well, really, I continued that mindset till about probably 17. Then I realized, oh, wait a minute, the sky's not going to fall and things are going to be okay. But that mindset of, I don't know when this ends next. I need to do as much as I can, to make as much as I can, to invest as much as I can, to tithe as much as I can. I think that mindset needs to be used today, right? Today we're talking 2025, 2026. Let's go ahead and assume robots take over in 2030. Let's assume it. Worst case, robots take over. Cool. We already know, with as much knowledge that we have and data we have, 2026 is going to be one of the best years we've had in 5. Now, it's not saying much, but it's still going to be way better than what we've had. 27 won't be that much worse than 26. But if robots take over in 2030, did you, the originator, did you, the branch manager, did you, the divisional, do everything in your power to build the most amount of relationships, generate the most amount of leads, help the most amount of families, fund the most amount of loans in order to make the most money, to save the most money, to invest the most money, to tithe the most money, just in case robots take over? And what's the worst thing that can happen? I'll tell you from experience. You get to 2017 like I did, which we'll call 2031, and the robots didn't take over. And you know what you did? You helped a pile of families. You stockpiled a ton of money. You lived an amazing lifestyle, and you have helped create dozens, if not hundreds, of careers. Like, there's really not many worse things you can have than that. And if the robots took over, well, you at least made yours while you could. The last thing you want to do is look back and have the whole, I wish I would have, I wish I could have, because you could have, you just chose not to, right? So I have a lot of those conversations on the daily where I'm trying to get people pumped up, wanting to run through a brick wall to make the most amount of money as they can until the robots take over, and hoping that it never happens.
But, yeah, and Dustin and I were talking about this earlier. I think also professional coaching. professional coaching insulates your business. It has made me a better man, both inside my home and outside my home. It's made me a better leader, for example. I was an athlete, and so now I call myself the corporate athlete, for example, and so I take direction very, very well. Give me a tactical plan, and I am going to take that imperfect action, and I'm going to execute on that, and then I want you to hold me accountable. Tell me what I'm not doing wrong, literally pull me forward. But again, I think professional coaching is something else that I would attribute long-term success to.
I've spent a decade studying top producers. Like there's one commonality. There's one, probably two. Like the first one is they get up every morning and they put on their uniform to go to work, right? That's literally the most common commonality of top producers. The second one is they don't go at it alone, right? They have a coach. They go to conferences. They hire consultants. Now, sometimes their coach is their branch manager, right? You might not have to go externally if you have someone internally that does it really well. Sometimes people need a cool uncle, or sometimes people have an absentee father, right? You have an absentee father, which a lot of this industry does. That means you have a branch manager who doesn't invest in your future success. You go outside. But yeah, I'm with you. When my marriage needed help, you know what I did? Hired a professional. Right? When I was going through a rough spot and I was drinking too much and I wasn't happy with my life, you know what I did? Hired a professional. Right? When I needed a website built, you know what I did? Hired a professional. Right? Like I think when you look at what we do for a living, for most of us, we are the product. It's our personal brand. Why do we want to go at it alone? We should bring in a partner. I have a whole thing on partnership that I'm probably going to do at MortgageCon in January, or I guess MortgageCon this year's February. But I looked back on my life recently, and I've noticed that I've had a common theme, and it's been a partner. As a child, I had a partner. It's my sister. I didn't know it at the time, right? At the time, she was a second mom. She was a nag. She would tattletale on me. But no, she was a partner. She was my first ride or die. In life, in my adult life, I've had a partner. It's been my wife. Now, I didn't discover that the first 12 years of my marriage. Like, it took marriage counseling for me to realize, holy shit, she's been a business partner, not just a partner in the household. And then I look at anything I've done successfully in business, I've had a partner. Sometimes it was an LOA, sometimes it was a loan partner, sometimes it was two managing partners where we did something phenomenal for 16 years. I can't imagine any one of us would have done that as well individually. So then I look back and say, well, if I didn't have all those people in my life, then I would need to go find it externally. And I love the fact that you said, yeah, look at me, look at my accolades, but please know I've been professionally coached for 20 years. Right? That's something Jason shared with me. What else y'all have for us? This is too much fun. I know eventually we're going to come up on time in probably like 7 minutes, but we at least have time for 2 more questions. Man, one table, you all can't see this right now on YouTube, but one table is just absolutely firing away. Everyone else is looking at us like, I can't wait to get out of here, or I got to pee, or they're just too nervous to ask their question. But fire away, Joe. What's up, y'all? If you're truly serious about leveling up, breaking through, or bouncing back in your career, more than likely, coaching is going to make sense for you. Rarely does someone achieve the highest level of success by themselves or on their own. They always have some form of a partner, a mentor, or a coach leading them down the right path. At T-Lob's Originator Coaching, you can come and allow us to invest in your future success. There's a reason why we are deemed the #1 coaching community for loan originators. For a small investment, you will be given access to 4 live coaching calls per month. On top of that, we're going to give you 4 live sales trainings per month. And then every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for 3 hours every day, we have a coach on call. This is your opportunity to get one-on-one for 10 or 15 minutes with either me or one of my certified coaches to go over your unique scenario, your unique idea, or to get feedback on something that you're working on inside of your business. It's free to check us out. Go to our website, tloponline.com, click on the coaching section, and see the various ways that you can let T-Lop invest in your future success.
What's up, Dio? So I always like to ask you guys about MBA. You've been involved with MBA for a long time, considering we're here at an MBA event. what you guys can maybe offer your thoughts over the course of your careers and experience, organizations like MBA and others that maybe your listeners aren't familiar or aware of that may offer some value to their businesses as they look to grow over the coming years.
You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Go for it.
All right. I will try to stay off my soapbox. But yes, the MBA specifically, right? The Mortgage Bankers Association, whether it was the Central Florida chapter that we're at today, the Florida MBA, or even National MBA has meant more to my career than I can probably put into words. Now, how do I convey that to others? For me, it's the right thing to do. If I'm going to be a professional, I should be a part of my professional trade organization. Whether I'm a teacher, I'm a cop, I'm a journeyman, like there's professional organizations. It's my time to get with people who actually speak my language and want to talk about the things I'm passionate about. My wife does not want to talk about work. If Brian Poling and I go to dinner with our spouses, my wife will kick me under the table if we go 5 or 7 minutes into mortgage talk. But I can come to events like this, and you all are passionate about what I'm passionate about. We talk about the same things. We care about the same things. And sometimes I know I'm not going to get a lead by coming here. I'm not going to land that next branch by coming here. However, I pick up intel. I pick up best practices. And it's that intel and those best practices that I'm able to then take back to the troops, that I'm then able to bring into my discussions when I go into business planning. And then so much of it is when you're a part of your trade organizations, it's the advocating part of things. At which point, that's like your civic duty, right? That is your responsibility. I call it's your one time not to be an asshole, right? Like you can be a good human, a good steward to your industry just by being involved. So I don't know if that's what you're angling for, but it's something that has meant more to me than I can put into words. Something that if you coach with me or you listen to the podcast enough, you've probably heard me talk about. And it's sometimes something you can't put your finger on, but I promise you want that in your life versus not having that in your life.
Yeah, I also think that it's the friendships that are created, and we're all here for the same reason, for example. And so we all have the same struggles. And I think that we leave egos at the door a lot of times when we come in here and we just share transparently and authentically. And I think that, hell, I might be having a really tough quarter, for example, and Grant may be crushing it this quarter. And just being able to share that with each other helps us. It gets us in our different frame of mind. And then if we can just pick up one tactic from each other that we can carry into 2026, I think that's also a part of, showing up on a monthly basis.
Yeah, it's your community. I mean, think about why do people go to churches? You can pray at home. Like you can. You don't need to go to church, but we go to church for that sense of community, right? And sometimes we want to hear a really good sermon. And sometimes the sermon's no good at all. You're like, why did I get out of bed this morning? I should have slept in. But I can't put my finger on it because I can't tell you you're going to 100% make more money tomorrow because you did it. But I know you'll make more money in your lifetime if you make that a part of your monthly or annual routine. We have another question. Chris, Greg.
Dio, Jason, would like to ask you this because, Dio, you travel around the country and talk to top producers. Jason, you obviously are a top producer and have someone on your team. What would you say is the difference in mindset between the top producer and the mid-level originator or the originator that's just getting by?
Great question. I think it all comes back to routine. And the one thing that I'll even share with my loan officers, if you're having a shitty day, go home. Go home. Go home to your family. Do something for yourself, for example. Have a good nighttime routine, go to bed early, wake up, and tomorrow's a new day. And that's the awesome thing is we get to reset. But I think success is built in the routine, and the routine sometimes is boring. Now, again, you've got to make it about other people, but it's the same thing over and over, and it's those small incremental wins that then create the long-term longevity and success, for example. And so that's what I'd say, and don't chase all the shiny objects, chase one thing. And one of the things that I even shared was for those that aren't taking action, and sometimes they do take the action, but it's initial action expecting immediate return, and you've got to stay with it a little bit longer. And so when you're not getting the results, maybe it takes 6 months, but that 6 month in a day is where the results start coming. And that's where, again, Ed Milet talks about the power of more. It's one more phone call. It's one more face-to-face. It's one more partner appointment, for example. And that next appointment could be the thing that changes your career. And obviously, if your business is going to tie into changing your life.
Yeah, and I would echo that. But being able to do what I do now with the show and traveling and doing speaking engagements, and you get around these people and you realize they are no different than anybody else. Like, there is no magic sauce. There is no, oh, well, I was a Rhodes Scholar, so that's why I'm a top producer, or I got a 1600 on my SAT, that's why I'm a top producer. It's like, no. Like, they are as ordinary as the day is long. They just happen to do a little bit extra, which is why they have extraordinary results, right? That's that word, extraordinary. They are ordinary people who do just a little bit extra, but their extra comes from intentionality, right? So these same people would excel at anything. Like, if we had a competition for who could be the best house cleaner, they would probably be the best house cleaner, right? It's just the way that they approach their life. They're resourceful, for one. They are committed. They sometimes have the mindset of an endurance athlete, meaning they just don't give up. Like you said, the Power of One more by Ed Milet, they put one in front of the other. And they don't have any self-limiting beliefs. It's like, why not me? Why not now? They are coachable. And if you hand them a playbook, they'll follow it. Where non-top producers are not coachable. And when you hand them a playbook, they want to argue with you why those plays won't work. And I think those would probably be the two biggest ones that stand out. Are you coachable, and are you willing to follow the playbook, which also means trust the process? All right, I know we had 3 minutes left. We had 2 questions. Greg had one and Chris had one, and then we can find a way to wrap this thing up. Man, time flies when we're having fun. Thank you, MBA of Central Florida, for having us back for the second year in a row. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Dio, how you doing? So, Jason, for someone who runs a 61-person organization doing $300 million a year and producing $40 million individually, how do you balance all those things with the level of retention that you've had and to be able to support all the different areas that need to be supported? We have a lot of top producing they're top producing managers, meaning they're top producer LOs who also manage. So any insight you can share on that, I would like it.
Yeah, I think that could be a challenge that you see a lot of times is those producing branch managers, they make most of their money in personal production, for example, and so that's where the loan officers that they serve get what's left over. They don't get the best of them. And so I do have a chief sales officer that keeps me out of the weeds and loan level details, for example. But it's also structured coaching, and so I coach the loan officers from 8 to 8:30 on Zoom Monday mornings, giving them what to go and say, basically. And then we coach them on Thursdays from 9 to 10, 9 to 10:30. It's called team development, for example. And there is some small coaching, but I'll, again, have to go back to some of the leadership, but then have to go back to my team. My team also, for the most part, keeps me out of loan level details to where I'm just selling. And so I meet with all of my clients via Zoom, but that is my client presentation, for example, that has that conversion so high, but it comes back to team, it comes back to chief sales officer, and then my partner, BJ Stellers.
Yeah, I have found, Chris, there are 4 things producing branch managers have to do. By the way, one of the hardest careers in our industry from doing it, right? I've been able to play many roles, wear many hats in this industry, but a producing branch manager is being asked to produce, recruit, manage, and lead. I will tell you, it is next to impossible to do all 4 great. So therefore, don't try. Pick the 2 that you're best at, the 2 that you're most passionate about. It can be production and recruiting. It can be managing and leading. And by the way, managing and leading are 2 separate skill sets for those that didn't know. Pick your 2, and then for the others, go find a who. Because Jason gave an answer. I'm like, oh, he found a who. Right? You have to find a who for the 2 that you're not going to do. But the 2 that you are going to do them and do them elite would be my suggestion to any producing branch manager or people like you, Chris, who are hiring producing branch managers. All right, Greg, you want to close us out?
But my question to you and what I really want to know, a long time ago I was told I was going to be replaced by a computer. And as we go on, do the 2 of you really believe that we're going to be replaced by robots? Because I don't.
So the question is, if the mic didn't pick it up, do we really believe that we're going to be replaced by a robot? Greg's been in the industry for several decades now, and he's been told for 2 of those several decades that he's going to be replaced by a robot. I'll let you take this first, and we'll have to do like a 30-second answer apiece. But I'm curious to get your take on it, Jason.
I personally don't, or I'm going to mitigate that risk personally, and that's because of being an advice-based mortgage professional, for example. But I think if you're just the transactional loan officer that's throwing out a rate, that's doing all communication over the phone and email and DocuSign, you may deserve to be replaced.
Yeah, my answer, Greg, is I sure as hell hope not, but I'm acting as though, and I'm preparing to be replaced. And that's the advice that I'm given. Jason, let's do this. If people want to get a hold of you, they want to follow you, what's the best way to hook up with Jason Purcell?
My cell phone is 407-383-8884, and my Instagram is Jason R. Purcell.
Beautiful. Anything on LinkedIn, any websites, or are we good with those two?
I do. I probably don't have that off the top of my head, though.
No worries. I mean, the good thing about LinkedIn, you can look up someone by their first and last name and typically find them, especially if you're in same industry. Y'all, here's my big call to action. If you are not already involved in your trade organization, I don't care if it's AIM, I don't care if it's FAMP, I don't care if it's MBA, I don't care if it's Women's Council of Realtors or any industry that you're a part of, use this episode as your call to action to be a true professional and to start not just join, but become active within your trade organization. Give back, be a part of your community. If this is your first time that you've tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast, I say thank you. I have a couple requests. A, understand that this is not just on Spotify and Apple. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple, give us a 5-star review. That's how we get more people to find this type of content. But check out our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is more than just a place where you can watch the podcast. We have the DO show. We have Talk Mortgage to Me, and we have Coach's Corner and Mortgage School, all additional content for free that you can have access to just by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Check us out online. We are tloponline.com. That's where you can sign up for my free weekly newsletter. That's also where you can find out all the information you may need if you're looking for a really good business coach or sales trainer. He's Jason Purcell. I'm Dustin Owen. You've just tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast. That's all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.